Good afternoon, everyone. This is Michael Massey, and welcome to another episode of Massey Messages. It's good to talk to you once again. I'm glad that the political season has come to an end and that we have a president-elect and we can move forward in this country and bring all of its people together as one. There are a couple of things I want to talk to you about today. One in particular involves the stimulus checks. As you know, there's a November 21st deadline for persons who have not received a stimulus check. What I wanted to put out today to everyone is to be mindful of people who you may know who did not apply for a stimulus check. The IRS has indicated there's about $10 to $12 million still available. The situation is such that a number of people in the country don't file taxes, and some of them are very young and don't make a lot of money. Some of them are very old, and some of them are in between. So it's incumbent upon all of us to look not just at family members, but members of our community that may not have applied for a stimulus check because they thought that they didn't qualify for one. Our firm is going to offer a service to people. If you think that there are people who have not applied for a stimulus check and they'd like to apply but don't really know how to do it, it's a simple process. We can walk them through the application on the IRS website and so that they can get an opportunity to get the $1,200 if they qualify for such. And so that's something that we're going to offer at the firm for people. The deadline again is November 21st. So really look at not just family members, but look at members outside of the community who may not have applied. A lot of homeless people may not have applied. So if you run a homeless shelter or know people that do some checks. And so let's help people get the stimulus checks if they have not applied for one and they may qualify. And so we can help people in our community in another way. All right. And so the other thing I want to talk to you all about is in reference to the political season as they relate to the church. There's a lot of talk about the church and the role of pastors as it relates to politics. And there's a lot of rumors about what churches can and cannot do. So there are a couple of things I want to run through with you. First, I'm going to talk about the things that are allowed. Pastors are people just like all of us. And so they have First Amendment rights just like the rest of us have First Amendment rights. Their rights are not taken away because they become members of the pulpit. And so what can they do? Pastors can always speak in their church about the political process because they have a First Amendment right to do so. There's nothing in the IRS code that prohibits them from doing such. They can talk about hot issues currently, whether it's abortion, same-sex marriages, gun control, any of those issues. A pastor is free to speak of. In that vein, what the pastor is doing is educating its congregation about current issues, but also educating its membership about the political process. And those things are completely allowed in the pulpit. The other thing that pastors can do in their individual capacity as well is that they can serve in politics. And remember, pastors are just like everyone else, so they can speak on these issues, they can serve in politics. The issue becomes an issue for the IRS when a pastor operates in his official capacity. So if a pastor is operating in his official capacity as pastor of X, Y, and Z church, the pastor cannot say that this church endorses a particular political candidate. That's strictly prohibited. That may indeed compromise the church's 501c3 status. And so you don't want the pastor in his or her official capacity endorsing anyone. And also to that vein, you don't want the church to be donating to a political candidate. That's also prohibited. And so those are a couple of things that are strictly prohibited by the IRS. What you hear from a number of people is that pastors are restricted mostly as it relates to conversation about politics. And that's certainly just not the case. That's not the law. Pastors are individuals, and they just simply have to make sure that when they're talking about these issues, that they talk about them, and if there's an endorsement of some sort, that it's in one's individual capacity and not in one's capacity as a pastor. I hope that's helpful for people. There's a lot of law on this subject. You can read the IRS code also, because it gives some direction to pastors. But following those general principles will keep the pastor in line and keep the church secured in its 501c3 status. And that's all for today. Thank you all.